I don't know which channel's which. Oh my God, I don't know. Wait, which channel is it on? I don't know. Now I'm live on both of them. I have to figure it out in a minute. I don't know. Oh, this has been such a mess. Well, now I'm live on two of them, so I don't know. I want to be live on the smaller one, but it's not showing up on my side. Why? Okay, there it is. On, save. Oh, so what I need to do is this. I can do this. Hold on. Up on my side. Why? Shut up. You might be watching on the wrong YouTube channel. If your channel goes off, then you're watching on the wrong one, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. That should have it fixed. Correct? Still live? What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. It should still be live, and I should be on the right one. Dude, I've had such a mess tonight. I need to mark this one somehow differently. I'll move it all the way to the bottom. That one's live. Okay, that's live. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. It doesn't say live stream has ended. So that's good. No, I think Restream, I don't know what they're doing. Restream's doing something to their system. And it makes sense that they would like update it like overnight. But yesterday from like 9 p.m. I couldn't do shit. I couldn't connect. I couldn't do anything. So it just said that it was unable to connect to the primary server or some shit like that. So, and then today for probably the last hour, I've been trying to go live with no luck. It just said failed to connect over and over and over again. So I don't know. And what sucks is like, I didn't want to not go live tonight because I don't think I'm going to be able to go live tomorrow. Tomorrow's the power outage I was telling you guys about. It's August 2nd at 11 p.m. through August 3rd at 6 or 7 a.m. So I don't want to miss like 3 shows in a row, especially if that, it should be, I'm banking on the power being shut off tomorrow. But if for some reason it's not, then I'll be here. And then Wednesday, I don't know if I'll be back in town in time to do a show or not. I'll be going out of town for a little bit. Yeah, I might come in early, but I don't want to tell people that and then not show up. But that was my plan, to try to maybe come in early. I don't know. I don't want to tell people that because they'd be like, "You said you were doing this and you didn't." All right, let's see if we can get this. I'm having so much technical difficulty.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to
You're
thank
welcome.
you
I try to
for
come in.
watching
I don't
Cold
know.
Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know,
I got to prep my show all day.
Linda and her coochie
That's
loves
right.
that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. If you missed the little intro, I'm sorry if you were on the wrong channel. I went live on a different channel, then I had to shut it down. I couldn't tell the channels apart. Restream shut everything down. It wasn't working last night. It wasn't working. Like, I tried for hours to connect last night, and I thought it was something on my end. I was changing settings. That's why everything's fucked up right now. I would change things and then try to connect, and change things and try to connect. And I did that for hours. Even after I canceled the show, I stayed here so it'd be ready for tomorrow and still didn't get it fixed. I don't know. I thought it was something with my connection or the way I had it routed to Restream or whatever. But turns out, like, I finally gave up last night. I went home at maybe 2 a.m. Finally gave up. And, oh, thank you, on Facebook. Finally gave up and went home. And then I came back in today and it was working fine. That was probably at, I don't know, 6 p.m. or something. I don't remember. I put a message in Discord, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., somewhere around there. And it was working fine. It let me connect for a millisecond. I just shut it off so it wouldn't confuse anybody that I was going live that early because I had some other work to do. Then I came back to go live at like 10:30, and I was like, look at this. I'm going to be early. Catch everybody off guard. They're going to be like, what? Look how early Will is. Didn't work at all. So I tried to log in again and just fucking nothing. It wasn't the same. Last night it was saying failed to connect to primary source server or some shit like that. And then today it would just, when I hit start streaming, it would just go like, it grays out. So it's like green when you click on it, and then it grays out, then it's red when you're live. But it would be green. I'd click on it and it would just stay red. So I don't know. Bert type show. Sorry about my audio. It's bees building a hive. Let's see what good old Bert's doing. Hell, somebody's got to throw him a bone, huh? July 31st. Surely he's done it. That was the last one he did. He didn't go live tonight. Somebody said he had 10 minutes of fucking intro music last night.
If you don't ask me, you don't know. Met me.
Oh God, there he is. The way he handles that cat, man, it don't sit right with me. It's like one of those, if you see something, say something. He's abusing that cat. Sexually, mostly. But blocking us from not buying him warm Diet Cokes, that's true.
To the Bird Lynch Show. A little trouble getting started here. Oh my goodness. Hello, folks. I got Shadow with me. I had to go get him at the last minute. He made an appearance and I was...
Do it, lady.
There he is.
Do it all.
So people can see.
On your birthday. All at once.
Look up there. A good boy. A good boy. Yeah. Let me see this thing. There's my boy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. You guys let me know if the microphone is working and you guys can hear and see me because I had some problems getting started.
Oh, yeah. I could tell.
If you guys can see and hear me, please let me know because I had some trouble with the show getting started. I just want to make sure we're here. All good, Bert. Thank you very much. Everybody.
There's a cat on TikTok that looks like our cat, and I sent a video of it today. The woman that owns it today, she was like recording the cat, and it's like looking like ashamed, and she's like, "Tell TikTok what you did," or maybe it was yesterday. Tell TikTok what you did. So she had a delivery show up from like Postmates or something. The cat ran out the door, jumped over her like little gate she has on her porch, ran down the sidewalk, jumped in the delivery person's car, got in the back seat with their kid, and stole 2 chicken nuggets, and then ran away.
Just as we were going live, Rumble shut off, and it said, "We're having problems. You must refresh." So I refreshed.
It does sound like a Burt show.
My software says I am. Many times I'm not. You guys tell me, "Oh, we can't see, we can't hear you." So we're there. Hey, come back over here.
My software tells me I'm live.
Come here, sweetie. Hey,
Never trust the software, Burt.
come over here, Shadow. Come on, baby. Come on. I'm always telling people that you think,
Come on, baby, Shadow. Come on, baby. Come sit here, baby. This is your seat, baby. Here, baby. This is creepy, dude.
you're not gonna do it.
Come here, baby.
Maybe you will. There we go. Yeah. Hey, sweetie. Hey, baby. Hey.
Why do cats always show you their buttholes? I know why they're doing it to Bert. He's trained it, but just normal cats do it too.
Shaddy's listening. He came over. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy, aren't you?
Oh my God. You know what I just thought of that we haven't covered? Do you guys know? Hold on. Let me make sure I have it right. You guys know that the U.S. attorney, and have you guys been keeping up with the U.S. attorney stuff in New Jersey? Legend, you might have been keeping up with it. All right, let me try to, before we listen to Bart, let me try to lay this out for you. It is wild, okay? So, I've opened Paint. So, hold on. In states, they have the U.S. attorney for the state. So if we have, this is crazy. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, so we have U.S. attorney of New Jersey. Okay? Underneath that, you have what they call the first assistant. Okay? Underneath that, it doesn't really matter, but you have all the judges that would fall under that, okay? All the judges that would fall under this U.S. attorney of New Jersey. So, back in December, let's go to red. So, back in December, this guy quits, okay? So that automatically makes this guy the acting U.S. attorney, okay? And then in, I think it was like March, this guy quit. So there's no U.S. attorney there, and there's no first assistant there. So Trump puts in a lady named Abba. Abba, A-H-A-B-B-A, and she is with Trump. Trump appoints her, okay? Trump appoints her, and that's all well and good, but she's got to be confirmed by Congress. She has 120 days to be affirmed, okay? But what happens in that 120 days, Congress does not affirm her. Right? Congress doesn't even take it up. They don't even look at it. So now she's out of time. So what does that mean? That means it goes to the judges. Okay? That means it goes to the judges. When it goes to the judges, they vote. They vote, and they vote someone in. I don't remember her name, but they vote someone in as a U.S. attorney. Okay? They vote someone in as U.S. attorney. Now, because she wasn't taken up at all, this lady gets voted in by the judges. Okay, let's look up her name. So the judges have voted one in. I want to say her name was like Cage or... Grace. So Grace is from the judges. And she's voted in. And she should be acting attorney. But Grace immediately, her first day, gets a letter that she's fired. The same day she's appointed, she gets a letter that she's fired. Okay? From Trump. So Trump fired her. Now, this woman, Abba, can you just go one? Oh, help me. Just one, not two. Oh, God. I'll do it this way. Okay, Abba, the law states that anybody that is nominated for this position and is not confirmed cannot serve in this position again. Whether they didn't take it up or whether they're told no, the Senate votes no or refuses to confirm it, whatever. Abba should not be allowed to work in this position, okay? Because she was Trump's appointee and she didn't get confirmed. So Trump fired Grace. So now there's no there's no U.S. attorney for New Jersey, okay? So what does Trump do to try to get around the law? Because this is one of his personal attorneys. He really wants this person. I don't know what he's trying to hide in New Jersey, what he's got going on in New Jersey, but he really wants his personal attorney there because he could appoint anybody, any good lawyer that he knows, he could appoint there for 120 days and it'd be fine. Trump says, no, we're not following the law. So what does he do? Well, he takes Abba, who cannot be there anymore. He takes her, and instead of putting her here, U.S. attorney, he puts her here, first assistant. And what did I tell you happens when there's no U.S. attorney for the area that you're in, for the state or whatever? The first assistant becomes the U.S. attorney. So he knows he can't appoint her right here as U.S. attorney. He appoints her here and then fires Grace, who the judges picked legally. And when she's fired, she goes back to U.S. attorney. He's bypassing federal law to do this. So right now in New Jersey, they have no idea who the U.S. attorney is. People are literally, so you have a right to a speedy trial, right? You have a right to a speedy trial. People's timelines for their speedy trial is running out. And they are saying that no one has jurisdiction over the state of New Jersey. If they can't get prosecuted, then they should be let go. There's a case right now with a father and a son. Their lawyer filed this, that there is nobody to prosecute. Nobody has the authority to prosecute these people. They're ready to go to court. If you can't show up to court and prosecute them in a timely manner, then they should have their charges dropped or something. There are guilty pleas. There are plea deals. Everything's not going through in the state of New Jersey if it's a federal crime. In the state of New Jersey right now, federal criminal prosecution is at a fucking halt. Now, Trump and Pam Bondi claim that because he withdrew her nomination, Abba's nomination, that it doesn't count as her as being nominated and holding this position. What world does that make sense in? The law says if you're nominated for that position and you don't serve in that position, you're not confirmed, whatever, you cannot, he's like, oh, we withdrew the nomination, so this doesn't count. If that were true, then what you would do is if it looked like you weren't going to get confirmed, you would just withdraw it every 120 days and then resubmit it. And then withdraw it, and then resubmit it, and then withdraw it, and resubmit. Obviously, that's not a loop. This definitely is not a way around the law. Putting her first assistant is the same as putting her as the U.S. attorney. If you can't do one, then you can't do the other. And no one knows what the fuck's going on right now. Literally, no one knows who's in charge, why they're in charge, and what authority they have to be in charge. Have they violated any fucking federal laws to put them in charge? And does that hurt their ability to have jurisdiction and prosecute these crimes? Even all the attorneys underneath them, none of them have any authority. Nobody has any authority in federal court in the state of New Jersey right now. It's insane. Here's a news article. Who is actually the U.S. attorney for New Jersey right now? That question has been on my colleague's mind, especially after the New York Times reported that multiple court proceedings, including the convening of a new grand jury, were canceled in New Jersey federal courts Monday after former Trump lawyer Alina Abba, who had been serving in the role for a 120-day stint, was named again to fill the role on a longer but still temporary basis. Based on a Wednesday night court filing, whether or not she is there lawfully, it seems clear that Abba is doing the job. The filing, signed by Attorney General Pam Bondi, her deputy Todd Blanche, Bondi's chief of staff, Chad Mizell, and Abba herself, DOJ's chief of criminal appeals, and the chief of the appellate unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office for New Jersey, was made in opposition to a motion by defendants who are scheduled for an August 4th trial to dismiss their indictment on the grounds that Abba cannot serve as acting U.S. attorney. Barring an outright dismissal, the defendants have also asked for an injunction barring Ms. Abba or any assistant United States attorney acting under her purported authority from exercising further prosecutorial powers in this matter. The DOJ brief, on the other hand, says that Abba is validly serving as acting U.S. attorney because of the following sequence of events. Bondi appointed her as first assistant U.S. attorney. The first assistant can serve as the acting United States attorney under the Federal Vacancies Reform Act when that office is vacant, and the president properly removed as United States attorney an individual whom the district court for the District of New Jersey purported to appoint. So they're the ones the judges voted for. So basically they're saying, oh, they just waited for the judges to vote, and then they stick whoever they want in there, fire the ones the judges vote, and she goes up. That's not how it works. They're circumventing the entire reason this rule exists. And interestingly, the DOJ is supporting its position and its timeline with documents we haven't seen before, including two orders. One, through which Bondi first appointed Abba to being serving on March 28th, and a second from May that extended Abba's term through July 25th. Assuming these are valid, that means the DOJ is correct that Abba's 120-day term under the statute specific to the U.S. attorney vacancies did not end on July 22nd, as we originally thought. It seems like they made that up. By the way, this didn't come out until after everybody was questioning it. A July 22nd letter from the director of the Executive Office of U.S. Attorneys firing Desiree Grace, the judge's choice for the job. That letter, like many other DOJ termination notices, simply states she is being removed from her position as an assistant U.S. attorney pursuant to Article 2 of the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States, and that she has been terminated from federal service effective immediately. Abba's July 24th resignation as interim United States attorney for the District of New Jersey, which states, I look forward to continuing to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District. So imagine having a resignation letter as the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey. And in your resignation letter, it says, I look forward to continuing to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey. Imagine you put in a resignation at your work, and you're like, sorry, guys, I quit, but I look forward to working another 20 years here. Abba's July 24th resignation. I look forward to continuing to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office for District of New Jersey. A July 24th order from Bondi appointing Abba as a special attorney and designating her as the first assistant U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey, effective upon her resignation as the United States attorney for the district. So as soon as she resigned, she was immediately appointed first assistant. A July 24th letter from the Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys hiring Abba as a special attorney to the United States Attorney General, through which she's authorized to conduct in the District of New Jersey any kind of legal proceedings, civil or criminal, including grand jury proceedings and proceedings before the United States magistrates, which United States attorneys are authorized to conduct and will report to and act under the direction of the United States Attorney General on or her delegee. An email from a political appointee in the Office of Presidential Personnel sent minutes after midnight on July 26 informing Grace that she may not lawfully serve as a U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey because the judge's appointment lacked authority, and in any event, the president is removing her. So literally minutes after midnight, the day that Grace was supposed to start, the one that was put there by the judges, they vote and put somebody there. Minutes after midnight, the night she's supposed to start, they're like, oh no, your appointment lacks authority, and in any event, the president is removing you. A similar July 26th letter from the General Counsel, the Executive Office of the United States, informing Grace that not only had she been fired from the department days earlier, but that even if the district court had the authority to appoint you as United States Attorney, I am informed that the President of the United States has removed you from that office today. So they don't even know how the process works. This is why they're caught on their heels. This is why I think they faked a letter. They faked a letter that said, oh, we extended her 120 days during this point, because they literally sent her a letter the day of, and they're like, even if the court had the authority. Well, that's how it works. If 120 days expires and your appointee didn't go in, you can appoint another person, not the same person. You can appoint another person, but the judges vote to put whoever in. That's the way it happens in every district. So, is this the end of the dispute? Trump and Bondi do, after all, appear to have covered all their bases. The Federal Vacancies Reform Act would still seem to pose a problem for Abba. That statute precludes someone from serving as an acting officer for a Senate-confirmed position, any Senate-confirmed position, if that person hasn't been first assistant to the vacant office for 90 days or more. So she would have had to have been first assistant for at least 90 days to even do this. And that's if we waive the fact that she was not confirmed in her 120 days. The president submits a nomination of such person to the Senate for appointment to such office. And here, not only was Abba the first assistant for only a millisecond before being appointed as acting U.S. attorney, but her nomination to be U.S. attorney for the long haul was sent to the Senate on June 30th, before Trump withdrew it on July 24th. Some legal scholars, like Georgetown law professor Steve Vladeck, have argued that Trump's submission of Abba's nomination to the Senate, despite its withdrawal, should preclude her from serving under the Vacancies Reform Act. But don't worry, Bondi et al. Have a ready retort. In Wednesday's brief, the government advanced a fallback position that, taken to its extreme, would allow them to avoid Senate confirmation for Trump's entire term. They argue that the powers of a United States attorney are not exclusive, and that by statute, the Attorney General can delegate the usual functions of a U.S. attorney to any other officer, employee, or agency of the Department of Justice, and may direct any department officer or attorney specially appointed by the Attorney General under law to conduct any kind of legal proceeding, civil or criminal, which United States attorneys are authorized to do by law to conduct. to conduct. So they're saying anybody at the DOJ, we can appoint and just make them the U.S. attorney at so-and-so, and it doesn't really matter. In other words, Bondi, Blanche, and Abba contend in the first place that Abba is the one true acting U.S. attorney. But even if she isn't, it doesn't matter because Bondi can delegate those responsibilities to people she alone hires and appoints. As any other government filing puts it, at bottom, this is a dispute over titles, not authority, they claim. So basically, anybody she hires could be the next attorney general, whether they get Senate confirmation or not. The Senate confirmation is just in there because who cares, right? We're just throwing that away. And they have been open about this since their initial Wednesday filing. Whether or not Ms. Abba technically qualifies as acting United States attorney, the attorney general has validly delegated to her the authority to supervise all pending prosecutions and other matters in the USAO, New Jersey, subject in turn to the supervision by both the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General, both of whom are Senate confirmed. So in a matter of months, we've gone from a Justice Department with a U.S. Attorney's Office so independent that it was half-jokingly nicknamed the Sovereign District to the Attorney General openly claiming the ability to displace any U.S. Attorney's Office via the appointment of a so-called special attorney. Count this as another nail in the coffin of DOJ's post-Watergate independence. Like, this is insane, dude. This is it doesn't make any fucking sense. I meant to cover this last night, and then I'd have forgot because, we weren't live. We'll watch a video on it. Hold on. Yeah, he replaced that, but he didn't fucking put him 120 days back to back.
I guess personal attorney.
Last time.
Trump appointed her, and then there's Trump's other very, I guess, personal attorney, Alina Habba. Trump appointed her to be the interim U.S. attorney for New Jersey, despite
He could put a new person in there every 120 days, running them through like fucking cattle, right, at the market. The problem is when he tries to put the same person there, if this was such an important appointment, he should have had Congress at least hear her confirmation hearing.
complete lack of qualifications for the job and a history of saying things like this.
I'll tell you something. Somebody said to me, Alina, would you rather be...
God, she's a horrible bitch.
Would you rather be smart or pretty? And I said, oh, easy. Pretty. I can fake being smart.
I don't know if you can, Alina. That's the thing. Now, U.S. attorneys are really not supposed to be lackeys for the president, just to state the obvious. There's only 93 of them across the country. And under the law, Trump could only make Alina Habba or anyone else who's in this position interim U.S. attorney for 120 days. After that 120 days was up, judges for the Federal District Court in New Jersey, they got to decide whether or not to keep her in that job. And those judges chose not to let Habba keep serving as U.S.
I think it's fucked up. They basically hired her. They fired that Grace woman that the judges picked. They should have at least let her serve until he had a good pick that he knew could be confirmed and blah, 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 blah. But it makes me feel like they're trying to hide something. Yeah, her nose is kind of fucked up.
U.S. attorney, choosing another prosecutor to replace her. And then the Trump administration abruptly fired Habba's replacement and took advantage of a loophole in the law to put Habba back in the job. They essentially made Alina Habba her own assistant so that once the job was open, she could step in and fill the role, even though her time is up. It's a completely blatant end run around the normal process for making sure that U.S. attorneys are qualified and impartial prosecutors. And the Trump administration is doing this to install loyalists as U.S. attorneys all across the country. In the Northern District of New York, Trump appointed a man named John Sarconi to be the interim U.S. attorney. Just like Alina Habba, he served for 120 days, after which the judges in that district chose to kick him out of that job. And just like Alina Habba, the Trump administration kept him in that job by making him his own assistant. What a trick. Same thing in Nevada. Trump appointed a member of the Republican National Committee for the nonpartisan role of U.S. attorney. More than 100.
The only reason it's made so much news right now is because that defendant filed that said, hey, you can't prosecute. You have no fucking authority. That pretty savvy lawyer that was keeping up with this deadline in the 120 days and the stuff going on around it filed. These other, everywhere else, people just kind of ignored it But this had to come to a head eventually.
100 retired federal and state judges wrote the court opposing her nomination specifically. But Trump used a similar trick to keep her in that role as well. And then there's Trump's pick to be the U.S. Attorney in the Central District of California, a former Republican state lawmaker with a long history as a bit of a conservative crusader. Now, since taking that job, he has brought federal charges against a California union leader arrested in an ICE protest. He stood idly by during the violent detention of U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, who was tackled to the ground trying to ask a question at a press conference. He's pushed prosecutors to bring more cases against immigrants, even when those cases lack evidence. Under Asaley, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Central California has already lost a third of its career staff. No wonder why. And just today, his office dropped a fraud case against a fast food chain owner and major Trump donor who the Justice Department has called a serial tax cheat.
Imagine that. Major Trump donor gets his charges dropped. Dude, they've turned the whole system into working for them.
Now the Trump administration has used that same trick to keep him in that job as well. There are 93 U.S. attorneys serving in all 50 states plus U.S. territories. They are the ones in charge of prosecuting any federal crime that happens within their jurisdiction. Medicaid fraud.
Any felony at all.
Financial crimes, even terrorism.
It falls technically, I mean, they don't show up at the courthouse, right, and prosecute you, but it technically falls under them. So any felony charge.
Cases all end up on the desk of U.S. attorneys. That's why the job is supposed to be completely apolitical. But Trump is taking unprecedented steps to put his own.
Usually what would happen is they just pick somebody that's from the area, knows the law, an attorney that has years in. They don't appoint their personal attorneys to this.
Own handpicked people in at least some of those key jobs. And they all know that to keep those jobs, they will need to be loyal foot soldiers for Trump. Trump's own personal attorneys have provided them all the example and role modeling that they need. Joining me now is one of my favorite legal minds, probably one of yours too. He's Andrew Weissman. You know he's a former FBI general counsel and former assistant U.S. attorney, as well as an MSNBC legal analyst. Okay, Andrew, there are so many things I want to ask you about. I just want to start with the Bovee news because he was just confirmed in about the last 15 minutes. You understand very well the importance of the Third Circuit Court specifically. I believe you've brought cases there. What are the consequences of Bovee sitting on that bench for a lifetime appointment?
Well, I think one has to zoom out and think about this in terms of what it says about checks and balances in this country. The fact that Congress, if you needed any more proof that Congress is asleep at the switch and has become sort of a lapdog to Donald Trump, at least the Republican-controlled Congress, this is an example. This is not a normal candidate, and the amount of proof as to why he is unfit is sort of overwhelming. And second, if you think about that in terms of what has happened to one check, which is Congress, this is another attack on the only other branch that
Emil Bovee is another Trump lawyer, right? There was also some whistleblowers that came out about his conduct at working at the Justice Department. They kind of ignored. I think even Tom Tillis came out and is like, "Hey, this is a fucking bitch move. You guys are just bending the knee. This guy should not be confirmed." But
has served to be a check, which is the courts. And you either can try and intimidate them. You can file complaints, as they did just yesterday, against the chief judge in D.C., Judge Boasberg, or you can try and sort of pack the...
He went to the Court of Appeals, yes.
Which is what you're doing with this nomination that's now been confirmed. And so I think if you just think about it in terms of checks and balances, this is a nail in the coffin.
The third district, I think, or Third Circuit. Court of Appeals.
Of that system that we have had for over 200 years in this country. And he is really exhibit A, in some ways I might say exhibit Z to this because there have been so many, but I think that's what it means to me tonight.
Yeah, it's putting it in stark terms, but those are required. Let me ask you, I mean, because one of the other things I know you've been following, we've been following, I just talked a lot about, is just this end run on U.S. attorneys and putting them in place in acting positions. And New Jersey, Alina Habba, of course, is the example in New Jersey. Everybody's heard of her, knows her name, and there's been some real consequences already. I mean, a defendant has sued to get his case thrown out, pretrial conferences and hearings set for defendants to enter pleas were called off. There's a lot of things happening. According to Politico, there are about 1,500 criminal cases in the District of New Jersey a year. I'm sure it fluctuates, but help us understand, that's been a day or a few days. What could happen if she insists and they insist in keeping her in this job?
So in all of the districts that you mentioned, Jen, where they've done this sort of end run, there is zero reason, if you are defense counsel for a defendant who's now in charge, not to bring a challenge saying that this is not.
Yeah, you ought to at least try it. Because it's fucking true.
A duly authorized U.S. attorney, and that this is legally questionable. So there will be that litigation. But again, if you step back again, Jen, just to the norm here, it is unheard of that the judges do not just confirm and sort of go along with the person who served for the first 120 days. That's true of every administration. I've served in so many Republican and Democratic administrations. The judges don't play politics in this. They're not concerned about the policy of the U.S. attorney as long as the person's qualified. So the big take home here is not just the end run, which will will be legally challenged. It's the idea that these people were so unqualified that really, I think for the first time that I'm aware of in history, you have the judges saying, no, we're not actually going to go along with this because the person simply is not qualified to do this job. They're unfit for the position.
That is a really stunning thing, and it's an important reminder that that's not normal. I mean, these judges have decided they don't want to continue with a number of these U.S. attorneys Trump has named. It's also what it sounds like you're saying is that in all of these cases, and there could be more because other people could hit 120 days, defense attorneys might question whether or not they should move forward with cases.
Sure. Look, I've been a defense lawyer. There's zero reason not to question it and to have the courts rule in the various districts. I mean, there's zero downside for it. You may not win, but it's certainly
all this because he just doesn't want to pick somebody else. He has to have her for some reason.
Against the spirit of the law, if not the letter of the law. And that's the kind of thing that you can bring to the courts and let them decide whether this was done appropriately.
He just doesn't care about the rules, regulations, how to get somebody put in it. He doesn't care. He just does what he wants.
But again, even if the courts were to say that legally the Trump administration could do this end run, what does it tell you about the qualifications and what is going on? The big picture of these people are so unqualified that you have judges of all stripes, of all political persuasions, saying we're not going to go along with this. To me, that is sort of the take home for the American public.
Andrew Weissman, thank you as always for providing lots of direct clarity. Really appreciate you joining me tonight. Thank you again.
Nice to be here.
Damn.
Viewers who watch the
Shit is crazy, dude. Insane. Who's gonna hold him accountable? I don't know.
I have to black out the window right there next to me when I do the show because it's still daylight over here, and that's usually where he likes to hang out this time of day. As soon as I start closing the windows and turning on these lights.
So you destroy your cat's fucking only motivation for living by blacking out the window?
He's like, you took away my hangout, dude.
For this amazing lighting right here? How good?
Yes, I did. I took away your hangout, didn't I? Yeah. Did I take away your hangout? He's a good boy. Well, I'm noticing in the chat that it seems like almost everybody in
Bert used the peanut butter today.
is from Florida. So thank you for joining me late. I know that I've got probably a bigger following in Florida than I do out here in Nevada. But you know what? Just for the fun of it, everybody put in the chat room where you're from.
All 6 of you, tell me where you're from.
That'd be an interesting thing to find out. I know that the lands are Florida. It looks to me like Red, White, and Blue is also in Florida. Maybe Songmaster is in Florida. By the way, Songmaster, I finally heard your song last night, brother. It's really good. We're going to play it later. I'm gonna play it for you later. North Carolina. That's
amazing.
I know, buddy. The window's blocked. I'm sorry. Don't knock it down. Don't knock down the monitors. One of these days, you're going to walk back there and you're going to turn something off. Good gosh. I didn't get a haircut today. I did wash my hair, but I didn't get a haircut. Arkansas. That's Fran, 45 is from Arkansas. Songmaster is from Bushnell, Florida. I know what that is. You guys all know I'm from Florida, right? Grew up in Tampa. Went to high school in Venice. I've lived everywhere from Orlando to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Crystal River. I know I'm leaving somewhere out. But my band toured in Florida for, I think, for it seems like 100 years. So there's nowhere in Florida that I have not been.
For 100 years. Makes sense.
Carolina is another one. Oklahoma. Jesus Christ Loves Us is in Oklahoma. I have been to Oklahoma. I've never lived there, but I performed there when I was in the Air Force Station in Omaha, Nebraska. And we performed in Oklahoma a few times. This hair's out of control. I need a haircut. Red, White, and Blue said they were the field operations for U.S. Census Bureau in Ocala during the 2010 census and had to count everyone in 4 counties. Oh, there you go. So you know all about one of the topics we're going to cover later today about the census scam that the Democrats are trying to pull. We're covering that story later today. So that's good that you'll know this topic. They're trying to pad their congressional districts with illegals. That's what they're doing. That's what they've always done. Last night, we covered Alex Jones' interview with an idiot who's just too young to have all those opinions. But anyway, and I know it kind of upset a few people that were watching because we were disappointed in Alex Jones' position on a lot of that. Fuentes was...
Oh, that last night's when he did Fuentes?
With the Never Trumpers and the millennials and the younger crowd that don't really know enough about the subject matter to be opinionated, so he's going to build himself a little spot right there in the middle of the hate crowd.
So this just came out today. FBI blacked out Trump's name numerous times in Epstein files, new bombshell report claims. President Donald Trump's name was redacted numerous times in Jeffrey Epstein's files by an FBI team determining which information potentially could be released to the public, according to an explosive report published Friday. On FBI Director Kash Patel's orders, FBI special agents joined the workers with the Bureau's Freedom of Information Act division to comb through the more than 100,000 Epstein-related documents, according to Bloomberg's FOIA files newsletter by Jason Leopold. Under orders, they blacked out Trump's name. By the way, have you guys ever seen did I save this? The guy that was, here's why Epstein claims that he and Trump had a falling out. Oh, wrong one.
Now, Epstein's explanation for why this friendship ended is as follows. In 2004,
Let me ask you a question first. How could Donald Trump allegedly go to the police and report everything that Epstein's doing with minors without having known everything that Epstein was doing with minors, right? Just because you hear Donald Trump or Epstein believed that Donald Trump ratted him out doesn't make him the good guy, right? Because he knew for years. Allegedly, he only rats him out after they have a falling out. And he's like, I'll show this guy. So even if he didn't participate, it seems like he knew what was going on for years.
Epstein believed himself to be the high bidder on a piece of real estate in Palm Beach, a house. $36 million was his bid. He took his friend Trump around to see the house to advise him on how to move the swimming pool. Trump thereafter went around Epstein's back.
All right, so Epstein thought he was winning the bid on a house. He said he put in a bid for $35 million, and he asked Trump to come over and talk to him about the house and potentially moving the swimming pool, what they should do with moving the swimming pool. But instead, Trump went behind his back and knew what Epstein bid and bid a little bit higher.
And bid $40 million for the house and got the property. Epstein, who was well acquainted.
This was the original story that we heard. Before everybody got involved, before everybody started telling different stories, before it was he was still employees, he was hitting on girls, he was a creep, he was this. The original story was they had a falling out over a piece of real estate in Palm Beach.
In fact, deeply involved with Trump's scattered finances, understood that he didn't have $40 million to pay for this house.
So Epstein, who was still involved with Trump's finances, knew he didn't have that money. He doesn't have $40 million on him.
Now, if that was the case, it was someone else's $40 million. At the time, Epstein believed this to be the $40 million of a Russian oligarch by the name of Rybolovlev. Less than 2 years later, this same house that Trump had bought for $40 million was sold for $95 million. It was, in fact, sold to Mr. Rybolovlev. This is all a red flag of money laundering. And what Epstein did, and he was furious about losing this house. Epstein, after the sale of this,
that the second sale is true. In 2008, Donald Trump sold a Palm Beach mansion to Dmitry Rybolovlev for a record price of $95 million. $95 million. That's inherently true. Hold on just a second. It even looks like the guy did it to him as a favor or money laundering or something, or some type of weird backroom deal, because the guy paid so much for it. And then if you add in like his cost to pay for the property, to pay for the taxes, to keep it held up, he's in over $100 and some million, right? 100, I think it said $180 million or some shit for the last 11 years that he's owned it. And he still, comparables around him are selling for like $60 million. He's in it like 3 times what it's worth. But whatever.
House after Trump went around his back, got this house. Epstein began to threaten him. He began to threaten him with lawsuits. He began to threaten him with going to the press and saying,
oh, here's the story I was looking for. In 2008, Donald Trump sold a Palm Beach mansion to Russian oligarch Dmitry for the record price of $95 million. I believe the buyer made an absolute fantastic deal. Trump told the Palm Beach Post 2008, and time will prove this right. Did time prove Trump right? More than a decade later, the answer still looks yet. A Palm Beach Post analysis found that Dmitry has paid millions to carry the property in the past 11 years, including $12.5 million in property taxes, plus an estimated $1 million per year in upkeep, such as lawn maintenance, utilities, and security, for carrying costs believed to total at least $20 million. So this puts the Russian oligarch's investment in the Palm Beach property at $115 million at least. Palm Beach real estate agent said a 2016 subdivision led to the tearing down of the 66,000 square foot mansion and its outbuildings, formerly owned by the late healthcare magnate Abe Gossman. 3 parcels were carved out of the 6.3 acre property, which has 475 feet of beach. The 2 outer parcels sold for $37 million and $34 million for a total of $71 million. And the third middle lot remains for sale at $42 million, a higher price than the other lots fetched. The $42 million figure, even if we use it, is still less than the amount Dmitry would need to break even on the deal. There is no money that was made here. This is not a great investment, said Bert Minkoff, a real estate agent with a Douglas Elliman on Palm Beach. He probably lost a lot of money. Not only are there carrying costs associated with owning property for so many years, but also the cost of tearing down the buildings and replatting the property into 3 parcels is expensive, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So something was weird with that deal from the get-go, just so you know.
Got this house. Epstein began to threaten him. He began to threaten him with lawsuits. He began to threaten what Epstein did, and he was furious about losing this house. Epstein, after the sale of this house, after Trump went around his back, got this house, Epstein began to threaten him. He began to threaten him with lawsuits. He began to threaten him with going to the press and saying that Trump was a front man for a money laundering deal. Trump panics at this point, and Epstein believed, and he believed to his dying day, that it was Trump who went to the police, Trump who was fully acquainted with what was going on at Epstein's house, fully acquainted for many years. Trump went to the police and, as Epstein said, dropped the dime on him. That is to say, informed the police of what was going on, and an investigation began, and all of Epstein's legal problems for the next 15 years began to unfold. This story.
So Epstein personally believed that Trump snitched on him after Trump did these shady property deals, and Epstein was like, if I started threatening him with like, hey, I'm going to reveal this shit. I'm going to reveal what's going on. We can do lawsuits. I can take it to the police. You know what's going on. And then Trump, who's known what Epstein did for years, turns him in to the local authorities.
Story about this piece of real estate and their falling out was first published in June 2019. It's published actually in my book, Siege, the second book I'd written about the Trump White House. Epstein had recounted this story to me. I put it in this book. Epstein at that moment was in Paris. He read the book. He called me with some alarm, and he said he was afraid that he might have said too much. 3 weeks later, he returned to the United States from Paris and was promptly arrested on the tarmac of Teterboro.
Oh, here's another thing. That when Trump sold that $100 million house, it came at a time when he owed millions of dollars to Deutsche Bank, which was very weird. Like, he just happened to owe $100 million to Deutsche Bank, and here comes this guy that wants to pay him 3 times what he paid for it, for the property. And it's so weird. So weird. It's never been lived in. It's never been used. No one's ever stayed there. He just come down and bought Trump a $100 million property. He hasn't sold it. He hasn't made any money. Is that not weird as fuck?
Said he was afraid that he might have said too much. 3 weeks later, he returned to the United States from Paris and was promptly arrested on the tarmac of Teterboro Airport in New Jersey when his plane landed.
Yeah, eventually the house. So in 2016, the house got demolished and subdivided. Like no one even lived in the house. It was just I don't. That's so crazy. And then the Trump shit, like I don't know. The whole thing's insane. What is this?
All right, look, I just had to make this video because I'm so fucking tired of the double standard when it comes to people attacking me. When it comes to people spreading my personal information online because it's publicly available. Like, Bunny, do you think I don't have that information on you? Oh, yeah, and by the way, these blacked out portions, I chose to do that. I don't have to. This is a publicly available document. See, this is what's known as an IC3 complaint. Tara was in such a rush to get me arrested that she publicly filed this with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. This is a document that is available on their website. And on their website, none of this is blacked out. Again,
he's saying like, I didn't release this, but he's really directing his followers to do this, right?
Chose to do that because I'm not a piece of shit. Oh, and this isn't new information. I've had this shit for
He's directing his followers to go do it, is what he's doing right now. I would never put this out, but it's public. It's right here. It's on. He's directing his followers to go do this. Hopefully, she used a business address and business phone number and stuff.
Months. You guys want to keep pretending that you're the bigger person? You want to keep pretending that you're not doing anything wrong when you put my address online, when you put pictures of my house, when you put pictures of my license plate, you actually start messaging my family members? Girl, please understand the amount of fucking self-control it takes to black this out. Because according to your rules, I don't have to. According to the law, this is a public document, and spreading...
Guess who the older millennial tried to go after today?
Public documents online isn't
not this one.
No, it's
guess who else?
Fine to show to the world. Bunny, you won't mind if I remove these black marks, right? Oh, but if I did that, the internet would say I'm attacking her. The internet would say that I'm so wrong. Guys, please recognize that the reason this information isn't public isn't because I don't have it. It isn't because I haven't found it publicly. It isn't because it isn't available to everyone. Because all you got to do is go to the website of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Again, he's directing them again.
And here's the complaint with no blackouts. No, I chose not to do that because I don't think it's right to spread people's personal information online. I don't think it's right to give out people's home address.
All you have to do is ABC and then you'll have it and then someone else could spread it. You know what I mean?
Please don't act like I haven't shown you it because I can't find it. The only reason you don't have this shit is because unlike Bunny, I feel like people deserve a little bit of privacy. I think it's wrong.
He went after Mr. Global.
To say where someone lives. Please recognize that's because I have self-control and I'm not a piece of shit. I wish those of you who had spread my information online had shown me the same fucking courtesy.
Hold on, I'll show you. And then Mr. Global's response. Is this it?
Liberals, your hypocrisy is on full display right now. Because I've seen a million videos of you guys complaining about this $200 million ballroom. That is not recognized as the persona of Matt Randolph, a.k.a. Mr.
Oh, that's it.
A centrist or moderate who's like, you know what, I think this is a real problem, and they're talking about something on the right, so something.
Yeah, Destiny, that's because even a centrist can recognize that all the positions the left and the liberals have taken are fucking insane. Like, Scott Jennings did an amazing job explaining this on CNN. Like, every issue that is like an 80-20 issue, like 80% take one side and 20% take the other, in every fucking one of those issues,
I didn't know he went after Destiny.
20% side. Like, think about
Destiny won't respond to this. He's just too fucking small. But
ID. The vast majority of America is in agreement that we need to rein in our foreign aid, that we need to rein in the money that we borrow with interest just to give to other countries. But Donald Trump tries to do that, and the Democrats lose their fucking minds. Like, I don't know.
That's not what he did, right?
Government.
He stopped it. We just incinerated a ton of food. It'd be one thing to say, hey, we're sending out too much foreign aid. We're going to reel some of this back. It's another thing to stop every fucking program and then pay $80,000 to burn the high calorie biscuits that kept kids in Africa from starving.
Has their spending under control. But when somebody tries to get it under control, the Democrats fight them.
What a weird way to fucking explain it. Anyways, here's Mr. Global.
The persona of Matt Randolph, a.k.a. Mr. Global on this app, is just a complete fabrication of his own mind. Like, this is what he tells everybody. Oil and gas expert. Do you know the only person that refers to him as an oil and gas expert is himself? Like, nobody else claims he's an expert. Oh, and I have no doubt some of you will point me to Forbes, where it says Matt Randolph is a globally recognized expert in the oil and gas industry. Guys, he wrote that bio. This was not written by Forbes. Matt is a contributor on 2 articles, and he got to write his own bio. He said he's a globally recognized expert in the oil and gas industry. Like, this is his actual history. And before I get into it, let me just say that I don't really interact with Matt. Apparently, he stitches a ton of my videos, but I never see him, so I generally don't care. But he did stitch a video of mine recently, where, again, he called on his expert status, and then I got a ton of comments of people being like, stay in your lane, listen to Mr. Global, he's the expert. But the thing was, that stitch actually attracted the attention of an actual expert who's a friend of mine, that being J.R. Majewski, somebody who actually is recognized as an expert in his field, somebody who works for an actual, like, high-level energy company, unlike Mr. Global, who is VP of a company that doesn't really do anything. Again, I'll explain more about that in a second. But again, JR made a video about it, and then people jumped in his comments saying, you should defer to Mr. Global on this. He's an expert. So JR just decided to look up his credentials.
Imagine being on the right and trying to use a valid fucking expert, and his name's McJewski. His name's McJewski. I'm sure they'll all fall in line right behind McJewski.
And what he found was his LinkedIn page, where it did not have some storied history of some gas and oil expert. It just was the LinkedIn page of a guy who's worked in the oil industry for a while. Now, of course, Matt here says that's not my LinkedIn. But I gotta be real, Matt. Like, this was created in December 2011. Like, this was long before you were famous. So I don't know why somebody would have created a fake page of you. Oh, and then you were endorsed by, like, no less than 100 people for all these different little skills. I don't know why anybody would have done that for a fake account. But yeah, we'll just act like this isn't real. Let's actually look at your history. So you were president and managing partner and owner and operator of 2 who gives a shit companies. And then you were a wells supervisor for Shell, and then a completions and well
By the way, someone ran a background check on him.
Intervention supervisor, which, by the way, is what your LinkedIn says. And then you were a well site manager. And then the first time you're referred to as an oil and gas expert, oh, look at that, you were self-employed. So again...
Okay, so self-employed, he just named himself oil and gas expert. It's not like there's some type of... There's some type of process by which you become a globally recognized expert. Maybe he just makes it up.
It's just you saying you're an oil and gas expert. Anyway, then you went to operations optimization lead. Oh, and somewhere in there, according to a radio interview, you were in charge of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I fucking could have guessed that. And then you were a consultant, which is, awesome. And then self-employed again as a principal partner. And then we get to Sentinel Petroleum, where you're a partner, VP, and vice president of operations. All right, let's talk about Sentinel.
Okay.
So first of all, this isn't even like a real company. According to their...
Well, he talked to McJewski, and McJewski told him, no, you're not an expert.
They operate 180 wells in the fucking Oklahoma basin. In the oil world, fucking 180 wells. It's not a lot. But they don't actually do anything because they're actually owned by Encino Operating. Like, Sentinel Energy is just a shell company. It's just there, so if something fucks up with those wells, they sue Sentinel.
So this all started because Older Millennial did a video about Donald Trump selling like $700 billion worth of energy to all these other partners, and he plans on selling more to other countries. Like, he's already sold some to the UK, he sold some to Japan, he's planning on selling more to other countries. And Mr. Global's like, has anybody even checked out that that's like well over what we produce in a year? Well over what we produce in a year. And we need what we produce already to run our country. So even if this is over 10 years, we don't know. Trump makes it sound like it's immediate, but let's say it is over 10 years. There's no way we could hit those numbers, especially if he's selling more energy to more countries.
Instead of suing Encino Operating. So he's VP of a company.
Mr. Global responds and says that. And then McJewski comes on and says, oh, no, well, we're building power plants. Look at all these plans to build new power plants and this. It's possible. You don't know. It's possible.
It's not really a company. It's just there to protect the bigger company. And you can tell that because when you click on the owner's page, this is what you get. No company officers, no owner operator, no engineers, just valued partners and nobody's fucking name. This is one step away from being sentinelenergy@gmail.com. That's how close this is to not being a real company. But anyway, so when we look at the actual history of Matt Randolph, there is nothing on here that says this dude is an expert. There's nothing in his work history that would make him an expert on anything oil and gas. Again, the only person who keeps referring to Matt as an expert is fucking Matt. Because even though he's globally recognized, I couldn't find anyone on the globe outside of a couple podcasts and radio hosts who refer to him as a globally recognized expert. Like, guys, look, working in the energy sector doesn't make you an expert. Being VP of a company that doesn't really do anything doesn't make you an expert. And most certainly just calling yourself an expert doesn't make you an expert. Mr. Global is somebody who's worked for years in the oil.
We're about to find out.
That is it. So please, for the love of God, stop telling me that I need to defer to the experts. Because being a well site manager and running a company that just protects...
I'm peeing. I'm sorry. I'm peeing.
You an expert. Do y'all recognize...
Let's go to Mr. Global.
AKA Mr. Global on this app is just a complete fabrication of his own...
Mr. Global responded almost immediately.
For a wells supervisor for Shell, and then a completions and well intervention supervisor, which, by the way, is what your LinkedIn says. And then you were a well site manager, and then the first time you're referred to as an oil and gas expert, oh, look at that, you were self-employed. So again, it's just you saying you're an oil and gas expert.
No, not just me. And I've had to cover up a couple of names here, but this is my formal appointment to be a subject matter expert. To me, April 30th, 2019. I achieved this formal appointment after I worked on the team that wrote the global standards for hydraulic fracturing and well site operations for Shell exploration. And that's why the title says globally recognized. That means the industry recognizes me. Very few.
Looks like he has a document that literally says that he's an oil and gas expert, but whatever.
Experts actually have that designation. They're mainly just recognized by the media, or they published a book or something. As far as my LinkedIn page that you and your friend are so concerned about, I told him that wasn't my page, and I put a picture in the comments of his video and said, hey, this is my page, not the one you're showing, and he deleted that so everyone wouldn't see my actual LinkedIn page, and then accused me of something. And you know, it was weird. The next day I couldn't get into LinkedIn because it had been mass reported. Yeah, but I got it back, as you can see. I'm not saying anybody did that. I'm just saying it happened. Just a coinky dink. So no, my title isn't something I made up. It's not something that's in my head. I never used the title of expert until I was formally granted that by the industry I work in. Yeah. Thanks.
For a wells supervisor for Shell, and then a completions and well intervention supervisor, which, by the way, is what your LinkedIn says. And then you were a well site manager, and then the first time...
And it wasn't even his LinkedIn. They found, I don't know if someone else made it or someone probably changed theirs to his. Because they're like, oh, this was made it. It says that you signed up in 2011. Somebody probably changed theirs to his, that they already had an old account, so it doesn't look like so much like a fake account. This is the video that started it all off.
He got the European Union to agree to purchase $750 billion worth of energy from the United States. $750 billion.
I think it's occurred to anybody that with Donald Trump's trade deal with the EU, combined with the trade deal he just signed with Japan, that's more than 100% of our energy exports. Like, I don't know if you know how to do math.
And our exports are already sold, right?
Basically, what he just agreed to with the EU is roughly 85% of our total exports, and what he just agreed to with Japan is like 60% of our total exports, which means he has just traded to sell, what, 145% of our total exports in two trade deals.
Donald Trump doesn't know the difference between the UK and the EU. He keeps getting them backwards.
Still have a trade deal in the works with India, where he's going to agree to sell them hundreds of billions of dollars worth of energy. Trade deal with South Korea, where he's going to agree to sell them hundreds of billions of dollars worth of energy. Not to mention all of the other countries we export energy.
Obviously, this could be a problem. If he's already promised more than 100% of all our exports, and our exports are already sold, right? 100% of them are already sold. Where the fuck is all this energy coming from when he's peddling it to every country in the world?
Too. I mean, he could have come out and said the EU agreed to purchase $20 trillion worth of energy. It wouldn't matter. We don't have it to sell. Another question, if we already sell 100% of our energy exports every single day, what difference does it make if the EU buys $750 billion worth of our energy exports? Like, do these people actually think we can more than double?
Right. Selling energy, I mean, he likes it because it's a big number, right? He can say, oh, they're going to buy this 100 billion, trillion, whatever. He likes it because it's a big number. But what does that actually mean for people? Because our export market's already kind of fucked, especially on natural gas, right? LNG. That's going to cause energy bills to go fucking skyrocket. Biden had a limit on how much LNG they could export because we use so much of it to run our power plants, to heat our homes, to do all that shit. Trump removed that limit, and now we're basically going to be competing for a portion of our LNG with the highest bidder around the world to also power your home.
Double our energy exports. Do they think that's a thing that we can do? Like, to sell the EU $750 billion worth of energy, we would have to sell them 100% of our LNG and cut off all of the other countries in the world we sell it to. And we would have to sell them the vast majority of our oil and cut off all the other countries we sell it to. That's not a thing. God, we are so dumb.
That he got the European Union to agree to purchase 750.
Let's see what else he's been doing, by the way. I haven't been keeping up with Mr. Global.
We will not allow
Oh, by the way, Wednesday, I don't know if I'll be back in time to do a show. I might be, but the kids go back to school Thursday, and like part of a day Thursday, and then they go back on Friday, part of a day. So Wednesday, we're trying to take them to a water park. So I'll let you guys know how that works out.
windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing.
You might want to sit down for this one. I'm just saying, because these numbers are staggering. So sit down. Sit down. First of all, Donald Trump isn't lying. He's not going to allow windmills to be built. Now, if they were approved and started under the Biden administration, they're going to proceed. But yeah, we're going to lose 80 gigawatts of electric power just from the loss of wind turbines from Donald Trump's policies. That's got to be replaced with something. And it's going to be natural gas. How much natural gas will we have to produce to replace the wind turbines that aren't going to be built? About 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. So by 2030, we got to add 7.5 billion cubic feet per day. But wait, there's more. We also got to add about 14 billion cubic feet of gas per day for, new data centers and AI. 20 billion cubic feet per day more for LNG exports. Another 6 billion cubic feet per day more because we're shutting down coal plants to swap to natural gas. About 3 billion cubic feet per day more for rising temperatures, and that's just based off the current trend of rising temperatures. By the year 2030, we're going to have to produce 3 billion cubic feet per day more just from temperatures. I don't know if you're catching on, but all of this means we're going to have to add about 50 billion cubic feet of gas production a day in the United States in the next 5 years. In the last 5 years,
I don't understand that premise of Trump, right? What if you fire the guy that brings you the bad news, right? That wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be, right? You're just setting up for a person to lie to you, I guess. I mean, maybe that's what he wants. He just wants them to lie to him or lie to the news, I guess, and make him look good. While everything falls apart underneath. The Gilded Age.
We added 10. In the last 5 years, we added 10. Oh, we need to add 110,000 miles of high voltage transmission lines as well. In the last 5 years, we've added under 2,000. So we need to 5x our natural gas drilling. We need to 50x our installation of high voltage transmission lines. None of which is currently happening, by the way. We also need to add about 5,000 miles of high capacity pipeline. That's 42-inch pipeline just for natural gas distribution. So what we're looking at is over $100 billion a year invested in new drilling. We're looking at about $30 billion in new pipelines. Oh, and we're looking at $750 billion in new high voltage transmission lines. All that has to be done in the next 5 years. And a lot of that stuff, if it started today, wouldn't be done in 5 years. What does all that mean? That means natural gas prices are going to go through the roof. That means the grid is not going to be able to handle the amount of electricity we need, because there's no way we're replacing 110,000 miles of transmission lines in the next 5 years. It's not a thing. What is it?
Trump claiming weak job numbers were rigged, fires labor official. Some Republican senators have expressed concern about President Donald Trump's decision Friday to fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics hours after the release of the July jobs report. Several Republicans told NBC News that they would take issue with the firing of Erica McIntarfer, the commissioner of the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. It is the result of the Trump disliking the jobs report numbers, which show the U.S. job market in the past months has been considerably weaker than previously thought. Trump defended his decision Friday, saying without evidence that the report's number were phony, and accused McIntarfer of releasing favorable jobs numbers before the election to give former Vice President Kamala Harris an edge. Senator Cynthia Lummis, Republican from Wyoming, said if the data is untrustworthy, the public should find out, but firing the commissioner before knowing whether the numbers are inaccurate is kind of impetuous. If the president is firing the statistician because he doesn't like the numbers, but they are accurate, then that's a problem, Loomis said. It's not only the statistician's fault if the numbers are accurate and that they're not what the president had hoped for. Senator Tom Tillis, Republican from North Carolina, blasted Trump's decision for firing her as well. If she was just fired because the president or whoever decided to fire the director just did it because they didn't like the numbers, they ought to grow the fuck up. Grow up is what he said. Tillis announced in June that he does not intend to run for re-election a day after opposing Trump's big, beautiful bill and subsequently drawing the president's ire, including a threat to back a primary challenge against the senator. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, who found out about the commissioner's firing from NBC's News question to him about it, said he did not know much about the topic, but proceeded to question whether the move would be effective in improving the numbers. Would firing the person who calculates the numbers be an effective move to improve the numbers? We have to look somewhere for objective statistics. When the people providing the statistics are fired, it makes it much harder to make judgments that, the statistics won't be politicized. Yeah, he's going to put one of his friends in there. I'm going to look into it, but first impression is that you can't really make the numbers different or better by firing the people doing the counting. Paul also opposed Trump's big, beautiful bill in June. The senator said in June that due to his vocal opposition, he was uninvited from an annual White House picnic in the weeks leading up to the vote on the sweeping domestic policy package. However, Trump later said Paul and his family were invited when he was confronted about it. Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Alaska, got strangled, said she cannot trust the job numbers, and that's the problem. And when you fire people, then it makes people trust them even less. Democratic senators have spoken out against McIntarfer's firing too, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from New York accusing Trump of acting like someone who imitates authoritarian leaders during remarks on the Senate floor Friday. Bernie Sanders called the move the sign of an authoritarian type and added, "What that means is I think the American people are going to find it hard to believe the information that comes from the government because Trump will always want it to be great news." These are the things they accuse like Biden and Obama of doing. You can't trust them. They work for the government. And Biden made them say that. But Trump's literally doing it in front of their face. They're like, she must have been a crazy liberal. Oh, a rhino? No, I said Republican. You mean a rhino.
What does it mean when your grid doesn't have space or capacity or reliability to deliver electricity? It means skyrocketing electricity prices. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea how bad this is. I've been trying to tell you, but you're not getting it. When I say the electric bills you're getting right now are just the tip of the iceberg, I mean it's just the tip, and it's a great big fucking iceberg. Yes, it is the perfect time to stop all renewable energy. It is the perfect time. Thanks.
We will not allow a windmill to be built in.
If you took any man alive, any grown-ass man in his 50s, I don't care how old he is, you put him on an island with a...
Oh, this is that fucking pedophile guy that's back, by the way. They ran this guy off the internet, and he went to jail for a little bit for not reporting where he lived, but now he's back out, and he's back on the internet. He's fucked up.
Girl, and nobody's looking. He knows that nobody's looking.
Okay, so first of all, it's not all men. It's you. It's you. But let's give a better description of what you are going to do to this 14-year-old girl, because it's not all just as simple as that one little word you like to use, the F word. What you are going to do is you're going to use all of your wisdom, knowledge, and experience that you have gained over your 50 whatever years of life. You're going to use all of that, all the things you've ever learned. You're going to weaponize that, and you're going to use that as weapons of war against a 14-year-old girl who doesn't have that life experience, who doesn't have the weapons to defend herself from your attacks. And you are going to wage war against her emotionally in every possible way, shape, and form. You're going to manipulate her, and you're going to just keep lobbing the bombs at her until eventually she gives up. And that's the thing. You think her giving up is consent. To consent means to...
He basically said anybody that would be trapped on a desert island after a few months would be fucking a 14-year-old.
To give up means to surrender. She did not consent. She surrendered. And then once that is over, once the physical act is over, you get to spend the rest of your days walking around with your chest out, walking tall, thinking you conquered something, thinking you accomplished something great as a big, strong man. And she gets to spend the rest of her life dealing with the emotional trauma of what you have done to her, because your first instinct as a man, which...
The guy's disgusting.
Protect innocence.
I forget what his name is. Something Farm.
That's the instinct I have.
I hope they run him off the internet again.
My instinct is to protect that child, to keep that child safe. That is the role of a man in nature, is to protect the innocent, right? But you view that as an opportunity to destroy the innocent. So the girl gets to spend the rest of her life dealing with the emotional trauma of what you have done to her. The guilt, the shame, the depression, whatever else may come with that. It's a life sentence for her. It's a moment of pleasure for you. And that is because you are not a man. Mr. Global, can you comment on the Happy EIA assessment about LNG demand? Eastern U.S.
I read this just the other day.
Gas increasingly meets LNG demand fuel growth, AEO 2025. This is an energy outlook by the EIA for 2025, right? And what they're showing here is that most of the increased demand due to LNG exports is going to come basically from the northeastern part of the United States, the Appalachia area. But what the EIA is projecting is that we only increase LNG exports to 27 billion cubic feet per day. But the reason they're projecting a much smaller increase in LNG exports is due to the price of Henry Hub natural gas. They're saying it's going to be $4.40 in 2030. Here's the problem with that. So on this energy outlook, they're showing prices in 2026 to be $3.85. On this one, they're showing $4.50 for 2026. Yeah. So the issue I have with this report is that they're lowering projected LNG exports due to a price that they are saying is going to be $4.40. But what about the price in Europe, in Asia? That's down there below. $10.50, $10.65, $7.70, $12.70. That's the prices that LNG exporters get. They don't get the $4.40 price. That's not what they sell LNG for. And let's not forget, the whole purpose of exporting as much LNG as possible is to bring the price of it up to global levels. That's why we export the amount of oil we export. So there's a smaller differential between U.S. oil and like Brent. So the notion that these price differentials are going to stay the same for many, many years as we increase exports just doesn't make any sense. The more of your product that you put on a global market, the more you shrink the difference between your domestic price and international price. That's how it works. That's why Canada is trying to export as much oil as possible to places outside the United States to get the price of their oil up to international levels. So in that report, the EIA is saying we're going to top out at 27 billion cubic feet per day of LNG exports. In this report, it's 56 billion. It's 56 billion. So the EIA is saying we won't reach that 50.
If you took any man alive...
Mr. Global, can you... Gas prices are rising. Let's get into it. What is going on with gas prices? So today, oil broke above $70 a barrel, first time since the Iran-Israel conflict, which was very short-lived. This is going to last longer than that. And as a result of that, RBOB, which is a great indicator of the wholesale price of gas, has risen by 13 cents in the last couple of days. So what's going on? Well, first of all, Brazil has stopped all shipments of oil to the United States.
Wholesale has went up 13%.
Response to Donald Trump's 50% tariff he's placed on them. They're taking their oil tankers, they're parking them offshore, and they're waiting for an exemption. And if they get an exemption on that oil, they'll send it to the United States. If it's not granted, they'll send it elsewhere. Now, this is 250,000 barrels of oil a day, not a huge amount. This particular event has a psychological effect on the market because now traders are wondering, are any other countries going to do what Brazil is doing? Now, even more importantly is Donald Trump placed a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. And as you know, Donald Trump has been demanding India reduce or eliminate their purchases of Russian oil since he got into office. Their response to that has been to purchase more than they did before. In June, they purchased a record amount where they eclipsed, I believe, 2 million barrels a day. Typically, they purchase about 1.7 million barrels a day. This is an ongoing negotiation. I do suspect they may reduce their purchases of Russian oil, maybe back to where they did before, maybe a little bit more. But whatever they reduce, this is going to take more Russian oil off the market and put higher pressure, upward pressure on oil prices and gas prices. Because Russia doesn't have a huge customer base they can sell to. They can't just take 1 million barrels a day and go sell it to someone else.
ICE is scary, and their gigantic budget. Holy shit. They have a budget larger than a lot of other armies in the world.
But the most important thing that's happening is sanctions on Iran. The United States has now blacklisted Iran's oil tycoon that has ties to the Russian shadow fleet. This is exactly what Donald Trump did in 2018 when he nearly eliminated Iran's oil.
And he's a slave to his donors that own those prisons.
He reduced them by
and transportation and flights and buses and all that shit.
I think close to 90%. Now, unfortunately, OPEC's production increases should offset any loss of oil from this. If you trust OPEC. I don't think they're going to do it, but it would be a great opportunity for OPEC to really jack up oil prices by not increasing production as much as they claim they're going to. National average for price of gallon of gas today is $3.14. It'll probably get up to somewhere around $3.30 in the coming days. How much higher it goes beyond that depends on these three things and what all happens. But the deal with Iran is not something that can be negotiated. That's going to happen. Fortunately, it's short-lived. We're 5 or 6 weeks away from all the kids going back to school. Fall, winter demand much slower. Winter blend being brought to market. But until then, prices are going to rise. Thanks. Gas prices are rising. Let's get it.
And how do we apologize when we've offended somebody? Ooh, I suck at apologies. Just give it a try. Okay, I guess unfuck you or whatever.
So
that's a funny idea.
My point is, just because he knows a little about oil and gas does not make him an expert. I have Google and ChatGPT just like he does. Oh, let's do this. Why don't you ask ChatGPT if gas is $1.99 a gallon, since you have it? Why don't you ask it that? You see, what you fail to recognize is you don't have to be an expert in anything to have conversations with people like you. I know that I can't drive down the street and buy a 2004 Saturn without having a piece of paper and a document signed, but you believe that Donald Trump can sign multi-trillion-dollar trade deals without that. That's
right. There's or release them or send them back home or clear it up. They just want to hold the people, especially if they've got empty beds.
the difference between you and I. I understand how to buy a Saturn. You don't. But if you're really that concerned about my credentials, you could also ask ChatGPT. Yeah, it'll look a little bit like this. Thanks. So Tommy said, can you help me understand why natural gas is going down below $3? I know demand is going up. I can't figure it out. Just look, natural gas is $3.09 today. It is a little bit lower. So let's talk about how all this happened.
Oh, shit. What?
After 2022, we had really high natural gas prices in 2022. They all collapsed in 23. And then we had the summer of 2024. Hottest summer ever. Very hot summer all over the country. And so our build season, which is during the spring and summer months where we build up inventories of natural gas to get us through the winter, we didn't build up as much as we normally do. And then that was followed by a brutally cold winter. Last winter was much colder than we expected. And the cold weather last winter completely decimated our natural gas supplies that we had in storage. That brought, and after following a really hot summer, so that brought natural gas prices up from the cellar. And that brought on a ton of new production. And not just new wells, but every old well that had been shut in for like 2 years because of really low gas prices. You get natural gas above $4 a gallon, every well out in the country is open and flowing. You get it below $2, a lot of those wells are shut in because they're not economical. So really high natural gas prices at the end of 2024 spurred a lot of new production coming online and a lot of old production returning to the market. So we had a big influx of more natural gas being produced in the United States. And then we get into this summer and it's cooler than we expect. And what that means is we're storing about 25% more natural gas than we do historically. We're building up natural gas in storage as we speak because this summer has not been particularly hot. It's 80 degrees right now on July the 31st. It's normally like 110 where I'm at in Oklahoma on July the 31st. So even though we did see a rise in demand, a lot of that from new LNG exports, the production had no problem meeting that demand because of the unusually cool summer, which is still apparently a hot summer historically, but compared to like last summer, this summer's a cakewalk. It literally only takes, like if they come out with a forecast and they say, okay, August is going to be insanely hot, natural gas prices will jump right back up. That is how tight the market is and how weather dependent natural gas prices are.
I saw a new class of people was just made in California.
I think a lot of people
that potentially to be deported.
just one really
Which is crazy. Everybody's got to bring a class action now. That's insane.
mean an extra 5 or 10 billion cubic
Or go on your own to court.
just through electricity. With gas
Let's see this. Oh, apparently he went over it in a YouTube video. Is MAGA coming for me?
Mr. Global Channel. Today, MAGA influencers are trying to take me out. Holy cow. Before I get into that, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of my new followers. So what is going on? The never-ending world of being a content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call us, constantly people are trying to take other people out. It's wild. And today I'm the target of some influential MAGA influencers.
Do y'all recognize that the persona of Matt Randolph, aka Mr. Global on this app, is just a complete fabrication of his own mind? Like, this is what he tells everybody.
Yes, I have become the target of older millennial and former, I can't remember if he was Senate candidate or congressional candidate, J.R. Majewski, and they are working diligently to try to discredit me as much as possible, claiming I am not an expert, only in my own mind. Yes. So I have had to cover up a couple of names here, but this is my formal appointment letter that I received April 30th of 2019, where I was named a globally recognized subject matter expert. I was awarded this when I worked on the team that wrote the global...
That Majewski or whatever, he ran for Congress in Ohio House race. Was it Ohio?
Standards for hydraulic fracturing and well site operations for shell exploration, one of the largest oil companies in the world, as you know. And this is why my title says globally recognized in front of it. It means you're recognized by the industry. It could say formally recognized, but any indicator of being recognized means you're industry recognized. And I am. But nonetheless, this is what happens when you don't agree with the current administration. All of their little minions come after to attack you. Yeah. I've been very open about my career, the trajectory, where I started, where I've been, where I got to, very transparent my whole time on social media. So it's funny that they're coming at me in this manner, because that formal appointment letter that I just showed you has been seen by a lot of people over the years, because I am consistently having to prove credentials when I'm trying to be discredited by those that disagree with me. Now, you can disagree with me. Trying to discredit my credentials is a little weak, though. It means you don't have an argument against what I'm saying other than trying to tear the person delivering the message down. So I've been in the industry for almost 34 years now. I started at the very bottom, a kid with no education, coming out of poverty. Like, I don't have a story where I went to some big time Ivy League school and got some big, huge pedigree piece of paper to show that I was a genius. I didn't have those opportunities. I had to work and claw my way to where I am to get what I achieved. I started at the very bottom, where 99.9% of people start. I wasn't born on third base. Hell, I was probably still in the batter's box when I was born. I might not even have been at the field yet, if we're being honest. But the point is, I worked and navigated my way through this industry for many, many, many years, for decades. And you do not achieve what I've been able to achieve without being an unrelenting student of the industry and how it works. Your average working person does not achieve a level of success that I've been fortunate enough to achieve without doing all of the extra things that must be done to overcome where they started from. Because they started so far behind the other people that hold similar titles. And he goes on to trash my oil company and say it's nothing, and it's just junk, and it's small time. And you know what? It is small time. We have 180 wells. No, we don't have, big oil type assets. We started that company with our own money. We didn't go out and seek billions of dollars in debt to stand up some company that would just fail. We put our money where our mouth was, and we built it from the ground up. And it's still fairly young, which is why it's small. It's young. We refuse to take debt. With the people that are on our board, we could easily go get a whole bunch of private equity money tomorrow and just buy all kinds of stuff and make it look like we have a big company, but that wouldn't make it profitable. Now, would it? And if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be a partner in an oil company of any kind, I would have said, you're crazy. But, my company to me is really big because it's an accomplishment that I should have never achieved. I was never supposed to achieve any of these things, and I have. And what is the future of my company? I don't know. Maybe it'll get sold and we'll make some money and go on about our way, or maybe we'll keep it and build it into a bigger company. You never know in this industry. That's the point. I think what they don't realize is that probably 99% of the oil companies in the United States are about the size of mine. A lot of them a lot smaller. We do have nearly 80,000 acres of territory. So, yeah, that's small compared to an ExxonMobil, but that's not bad compared to mom and pop oil company. But they have even gone to the links to try to hack into my LinkedIn account. I tried to get into it yesterday and could not get access because it had been mass reported. Someone was trying to get into it. I don't know if they were trying to change the LinkedIn page. I'm not sure. But I got I proved who I was, and I got my access back. The point is, these are the things you have to deal with when you're in any kind of public life, whether you do what I do or do what a politician does. And people ask me all the time if I would ever run for public office. And this stuff right here is the main reason I say no. I would never put my family through that, because there's just so much evil and hate and meanness out there that just wish to destroy any voice of dissent. And ironically, they call themselves advocates of free speech, if you can believe that. Either way, regardless, I will continue doing what I do. I love what I do. I've got to get back and start working on my next Forbes article, but I just wanted to share that experience with you guys, let you know the kind of stuff we deal with all the time. There's always someone trying to tear you down, and it's true in life, it's true with what we do, and it's true in normal life where you're not an influencer. If you have some success at work, I can promise you someone's going to try to tear that down. You just have to put your head down and keep moving forward, and don't let it be a distraction. Don't let anyone else steal the things that you have worked so hard for. They can't earn it themselves, so they want to take it from you. Don't let them do that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I really appreciate all of my new followers. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.
Sorry, I was looking up that Majewski guy. So the reason he had Republicans backing him, and they even had a big ad buy going on, but he lied about his military service. An Ohio Republican House candidate who critics say misrepresented his time in the military as a combat veteran in Afghanistan is hitting back at the allegations, calling the reports about his service blatantly false. Speaking at a press conference Friday, J.R. Majewski, who is running for Ohio's 9th congressional district, said, "Let me be clear. Anyone insinuating that I did not serve in Afghanistan is lying. I served in our United States of America across multiple countries in many roles, but that didn't matter to the liberal media who wrote a politically motivated hit piece on me." Military records reviewed by ABC News indicate that Majewski was based in Qatar, where he completed 6 months. The Air Force released a statement on ABC News that while there's no way for them to verify whether or not Mr. Majewski served in Afghanistan during his deployment in Qatar, and although there are service medals associated with those locations that might narrow down the records of his service, the list of awards and decorations on our personnel records may be incomplete. So he doesn't even have like campaign medals and shit for Afghanistan. Majewski did not immediately respond to ABC News' request for comment. The Republican hopeful often touted his military service and promoted himself in advertisements and interviews as a combat veteran who served in Afghanistan. Quote, "I'll say it again. I flew into combat zones, specifically in Afghanistan, and I served my country proudly," said Majewski at his presser outside of Lucas County Republican headquarters in Holland, Ohio. "Mark my words, the people of Ohio's 9th District will see through these lies," adding that he may consider suing reporters from the Associated Press. By the way, he didn't sue anybody. He dropped out of the race. After he come and said they're all lying about him, he dropped out of the race. When reached for comment Saturday, Lauren Easton, the vice president of AP Corporate Communications, told ABC News that the Associated Press stands by its story. When asked by a reporter during the conference where in particular Majewski traveled to in Afghanistan, listen, the Republican House nominee said there were only a couple of bases there in the country that he flew in and out of the area multiple times, and that his visits are listed as classified. When they asked what base did you fly to in Afghanistan, he told them, "That's classified." He sounds like a real Majewski. Majewski also released some of his military documents on his Twitter page before the start of the presser, with one document showing that he was eligible for reenlistment, another indicating that his grandmother had passed away while he was deployed. Neither one of those prove you were in Afghanistan, bro. Majewski went on Newsmax, a conservative news outlet, Thursday evening to talk about his service overseas. And when asked by the host whether he ever set foot in Afghanistan, he said absolutely. He added, "Myself and other airmen deployed to Qatar. That was where CENTCOM was. That was our staging base, and we deployed from there all throughout the area of responsibility, and we're the people that gave supplies to the front lines." Bullshit. We're the people that transported the fighters to the front line. Bullshit. Majewski, said on the network he believes he's entitled to call himself a combat veteran. He believes he's entitled to call himself a combat veteran. When asked in the Newsmax interview about not having medals that would traditionally be given to those who served a specific number of days in Afghanistan or have been deployed overseas in direct service to war on terror, Majewski said he did not apply for some of those military decorations because he exited service honorably before those medals were created or identified as a campaign medal. Bullshit. Majewski furthermore claims that his opponent, Democratic incumbent Rep. Marcy Kaptur, he dropped out against her, slandered him, and that her ads targeting him have all been slanderous, libelous attacks against him. In a tweet Majewski posted last year in August, he said that I'm a veteran of OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, making a reference to Operation Enduring Freedom, a military action launched by the United States, then President George W. Bush in response to September 11th terrorist attacks in the United States. I'd gladly suit up and go back to Afghanistan tonight and give my best to save those Americans who were abandoned, Majewski added in a 2021 tweet. Majewski, who has no prior political background, is now locked in a race that nonpartisan Cook political report considers a toss-up between him and Kaptur, who is the longest-serving woman in the U.S. House of Representatives. due to redistricting this year. The region, which used to be considered safe for Democrats, now favors Republicans. The National Republican Congressional Committee, which is the GOP's chief fundraising committee dedicated to electing Republicans to the House, has withdrawn about $1 million in advertising for Mick Juski from the 9th Congressional District, a move first reported by Medium Buying, a group that monitors advertisements in the media. The NRCC did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In June, Mick Juski garnered the coveted endorsement by President Donald Trump, but not before he first gained attention in Ohio by transforming his lawn into a giant sign that read, "Trump 2020, Keep America Great." McJuski, a self-described ultra MAGA, who frequently wear clothing with those words etched on them, has said he participated in the protests outside the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, but they never went inside the building. Following the 2020 presidential election, he called for the states that voted for Trump to secede from the United States, according to a live stream video on the Periscope app. Now deleted Twitter post from McJuski also show the candidate tweeted and engaged with QAnon hashtags. Ooh. When asked by ABC News at a rally hosted by Trump earlier this month in Youngstown, Ohio, on what his thoughts were about the former president reposting via his Truth Social platform photoshopped image of himself wearing a Q pin on his lapel with the words, "The storm is coming," McJuski said he has no idea and no thoughts, no opinions on the post by Trump. When asked about the claims that he sympathized with QAnon, McJuski told ABC News, "The issues are not QAnon. The issues are inflation and the democratic destruction of America. Nothing else really matters." McJuski has previously said he is not a QAnon believer, telling the Toledo Blade that last year, "I've never read any QAnon drop, what they call the Q drop." In a statement to ABC News Thursday on the reports of her opponent's military service, Captor said, "The truth matters. As the only Ohioan in the House on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, I know so many veterans, including those in my own family, who have served our grateful nation with honor. The idea that anyone, much less a candidate for the United States Congress, would mislead voters about their service in combat is an affront to every man and woman who has proudly worn the uniform of our great country." J.R. McJuski owes each of these heroes a full explanation about his deception. And I guess he never clarified. All of his tweets are now deleted. His whole account's deleted. Oh, there it is. So one of his tweets is still here. It says, I'm a veteran of OEF. I gladly suit up and go back tonight to get those Americans that were abandoned. Why isn't our president all in? And the comments are, "You never went to Afghanistan, you fucking poser." That's the first comment. Wow. Awesome stolen valor here, dude. Wow. You should be charged with stolen valor. Tell the fucking truth. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I bet you're a dedicated Christian also, yes. You've never been to Afghanistan. Another Republican taking credit for what other people have done. Oh my, turns out you're just another lying MAGA piece of shit. Disgusting. With God, all things are possible except for your Afghanistan military service, douchebag. Lying bastard. You give the rest of us honorable vets a bad name. Oh. He was stationed in Japan for most of his active service, and for 6 months, he helped load planes at an air base in Qatar, a U.S. ally. Ooh. He was a passenger operations specialist, loading and unloading aircraft. Ooh. He was a baggage boy. Imagine, dude. And he looks like, I'll show him to you. He's on here talking shit about Mr.
And so there was this lawyer who's...
Oh, this is the craziest story. I want to save that. So let's use this one. Let's duplicate it. That Nick Fuentes story is so funny. So I'll give you the rundown of it. J.R. McJuski. There's no way the far right are going to follow a guy named McJuski. is him. He looks like the far right, ultra mega, talking about all his combat experience bullshit. That's what he looks like. And now I guess he does something, which it's hard to tell whether he's lying or not, but he claims he's like in charge of all this nuclear energy, blah, blah, blah. Trump appointed him to something with the Department of Energy. Who knows? I can't believe he was fucking... This is a role focused on the safe and efficient movement of personnel and cargo via military aircraft. This involves tasks like scheduling flights, managing air terminal operations, and coordinating logistics for both passengers and cargo. They ensure proper documentation, in-transit visibility, and adherence to transportation policies. Like, I don't even think he was on the flights that he claims went over. Which base did you go to? Well, there's only a couple of them, and they're all classified. Are you fucking shitting me, dude? That's bad. This story with Nick Fuentes is so fucking funny. Dude, this is when Nick Fuentes is a Nazi or whatever. This is when Nick Fuentes and Kanye went to meet Trump on Thanksgiving. And what happens is Kanye paid a person to research Trump. And Nick says they had stuff like if he has you out on the patio for dinner, that means he wants to show you off. That's good. If he has you over here for dinner, that means something else. If he says this, if he checks his watch, if he's wearing this, if he uses these words, that's good or bad. Kind of research. So Kanye didn't go into walking into a meeting with Trump. He knew all his tales. Okay. Now, Kanye asked Nick, what do you think about this? And Nick said, I don't know. Send it to me. I don't know. Send the report to me. Kanye went to send it to Nick Fuentes, accidentally sent it to a different Nick, not Nick Fuentes. Okay. That Nick happens to be a lawyer that also works for Trump sometimes. So in the middle of their dinner, Trump gets a phone call from this Nick lawyer. And the lawyer says, it's a setup. They got all this information about you that I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're trying to set you up. It's happening right now. Are you with them? And Trump hangs up the phone and just listen.
And then it was a pretty normal dinner. It was Thanksgiving dinner. We had turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes. And so it's very strange.
It's so funny.
Situation. But then, and this was the story of the dinner, before we arrived in Mar-a-Lago, this girl who was with us, Karen Giorno, she was getting some like intel about how to deal with Trump, like how to play this. And so there was this lawyer whose name was Nick, and he sent all this information to Ye about how we're going to deal with Trump. And it said, if we eat in the dining room, that means this. If we eat in the patio, he wants to show you off. If he says this, it was just like this like play by play. How do we handle Trump?
Interesting.
And so we're pulling up to the dinner, and we have all this intel. And Ye said, what do you think about this? And I said, I don't know. Send it to me. So he forwards it to me, to my phone. Well, it turns out he accidentally forwarded it to a lawyer that Trump uses as well, whose name is also Nick.
Oh, my God.
So he tried to send it to me. I never got the text. I was like, that's weird. I didn't get it. We said, oh, well, we walk in. He accidentally sent all this intel to a lawyer that Trump actually uses. So in the middle of the dinner, Trump gets a phone call. He goes, just 1 second. It was this guy. It was this lawyer. And the guy says, like, hey, Trump, this is a hit job. They're here to take you out. Like, they sent me this intel by accident. They must have told them that this was a setup. So Trump hangs up the phone, and his demeanor instantly changes.
Holy shit.
And he starts, and my right hand of God, he immediately starts dropping the F-bomb. Motherfucking this and that, just like, and then it was a pretty...
That's part one.
Trump hangs up the phone, and his demeanor instantly changes.
Holy shit.
And he starts, and my right hand of God, he immediately starts dropping the F-bomb. Motherfucking this and that, just like, I've never seen him that angry.
Damn,
so
yeah.
furious. And But it was also very subtle. He starts telling Ye, because the idea was Ye was going to run for president and was going to ask Trump to be his VP. So Trump starts telling these stories about all the black people that he helped that betrayed him. That was the subtext. So he says, you know, I freed this rapper in China, the basketball player.
Brittany Griner?
No, LeVar Ball.
He was in China?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got like arrested or something. It was like an international incident.
Okay.
And so Trump was telling the story about how he freed this guy. And he says, so this basketball player, he's on the tarmac, he said, and the Chinese soldier slapped him across the face, the basketball player, and said, that's for disrespecting President Trump. That was the first story. The second story was about...
Oh, I'm sure the Chinese soldier slapped him on the tarmac and said for disrespecting President Trump.
The rapper in, I think it was Norway or Sweden. I forget who. I think it was A$AP Rocky. Got arrested up there. And he says, and I called up the president of Sweden and I said, listen, you you better release him right now. And the moral of the story was these were all ingrates. These are all black celebrities that he helped that betrayed him. And then,
of course, all the black ingrates that didn't show enough reverence to Trump.
He goes to Ye, and I hosted your wife, Kim Kardashian, and I released these, or commuted the sentence of these people on her behalf. He goes, and she is a disgusting human being. He said,
that's the mother of his kids, dude. He's like, oh, yeah, your baby mama? Fucking cunt.
Yeah.
He's savage, bro.
Yes. Fuck. He goes, and she's such a disgusting... He goes, and you can tell her I said that. I want you to tell her. Tell her I said that. She's a disgusting human being. And I was sitting there like, whoa. You know,
what was Ye's reaction?
He had the same reaction that I did. He was totally taken aback by it, but he goes, that's still my wife. You know, he goes, that's my wife you're talking about. And so it's very tense. So Trump hangs up the phone and is...
How fucking crazy. I would have paid to have been there. Like, I hate Trump. I hate Ye. I hate Nick Fuentes. Dude, if I could have been, like, hanging out in the back room or something, just listening to this.
Tell her I said that. She's a disgusting human being. And I was sitting there like, whoa. You know,
what was Ye's reaction?
He had the same reaction that I did. He was totally taken aback by it, but he goes, that's still my wife. You know, he goes, that's
so everybody wondered, because when Nick and Ye come back from this, it was like it went really bad. And it got to the press that Trump was having dinner with this Nazi sympathizer, Nick Fuentes, and Kanye, who we all know is fucking crazy. And then Trump came out and said, I don't know them. You know, I don't have anything to do with them. They just showed up. So Trump was putting them down, which is weird, but no one had the story until now.
And so it's very tense. And then Karen, so then Trump was like kicking us out, basically. He said, you know, your airport is right across the street. I think it's time for you to go.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And Karen is like kicking him under the table saying, remember to ask him what you came here to ask him. And Ye goes, oh.
So what do you think Kanye came to ask him? Kanye came to ask him if Trump would be his vice president. Which was a bad idea from the get-go, right?
Yeah, will you be my vice president? And Trump loses his mind. And he goes, you can win at a lot of things, but you'll never win at this. He goes, you could be a celebrity, you're talented. He goes, but you'll never win at this. You better not run. Lost his mind. He had his arms folded like a mobster. I thought he was going to start swinging. Like that's how aggressive his demeanor was. Like straight up like a gangster, like Tony Soprano. I do too. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
even though it even went to me. He goes, you're a smart guy. Tell him he can't win. He can never win. You tell him now. He can never win. I know you work for him, but he can't win. And I was just frozen. I was like, I don't know. Maybe he can win. You know?
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it was nuts. And so then we got kicked out. These other people wanted a picture with Trump and Ye. Trump refused to take a picture.
Oh, he's a savage.
Yeah, it was ugly. But
that didn't go too well, huh?
No.
Man, yeah, I gotta respect that.
That's a very good story, right? Like, how many people are, well, I mean, only them three. How many people even have a story like that?
It was baller. He's a gangster, man.
That's insane.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the...
Trump is the dumbest person in the room. Did you guys see this Tim Dillon cold open? It was pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. Earlier this week, 30-year-old teenagers and Elk Boys received a massive amount of backlash.
So the Nelk Boys are like a pretty popular podcast, and the White House contacted them. This is some bullshit propaganda. The White House press team contacted them and asked them to have Benjamin Netanyahu on. And of course, they didn't. They just went along with everything he said, like Hamas is the reason people are starving and dying. It's not us. We're not killing people. Blah. They never challenged him on anything. So they've been getting so much fucking hate lately. But that's how propaganda works, right? They find people that they want attention online, right? And the Nelk Boys obviously do, and they've got it already, but they can have more. They want more money. They want more clicks. They want more people talking about them. So the press says, oh, well, we'll put this person in, right? We'll send Benjamin Netanyahu there. They won't challenge him. They don't know about the topics. They don't know about whatever. They'll just let him spill. We'll get our point across, right? It'll look like they support him, and they'll get the attention, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. All they need is attention.
For their interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. And although Netanyahu is widely reviled, he does maintain some support with people across the world, and even a few people in Gaza. So here to comment is Nassab from Gaza, who is a big...
So even people in Gaza do kind of love Netanyahu. So Nassab, a fan of Netanyahu, come on Tim Dillon's show to defend him to defend Benjamin Netanyahu.
Supporter of Netanyahu.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the sub. So now tell us your story. What's happening in Gaza and why do you support Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yes, Tim, so like many people in Gaza, I have every reason to hate Israel. Shortly after October 7th, my family was sheltering under a donkey, and Hamas decided to dig a tunnel under the donkey and use the donkey as a human shield, taking out not only my family, but my head and arms and torso. And I put that blame on these barbarians that make up Hamas, because Israel is very good and merciful. And right before they bomb our donkey, they send out a text, and they say, we are going to bomb your donkey in 20 seconds. But unfortunately, I forgot to charge my phone.
It's just a fucking lag, dude. Anyways, that Nick Fuentes story is really funny. What's this? Bassam Youssef calls out the Nelk boys.
I think the biggest part of you that you were not prepared. 2 years under like the biggest genocide in our history.
So they're having people on that are against them now that said they shouldn't have had Netanyahu on to try to revamp their image.
Guys had no idea what's going on. If somebody told me, hey, you're going to be tomorrow on the starting five of the Lakers in the NBA, I was like, that's a great opportunity, but I'm not prepared. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. So it's not about you platforming someone or someone giving a chance for free speech. You were used, right? And it didn't start with the podcast. It started 2 years ago in March 2023 when you went to Israel, because I know, like I told you, that Israel has increased their Hasbara budget, which is their propaganda machine, with $150 million. And part
Hasbara literally means it literally means like information given or whatever, but it's their propaganda machine, Hasbara.
That money goes to influence people in college campuses, hire influencers like you, getting them into fancy trips to Israel, giving them this filtered, layered picture that is made up, that is fake. I mean, I watched it yesterday and I was cringing not because like you were showing how cool Israel is or they have nightclubs.
You're saying our Nelk video?
Yeah. So because when you mentioned Palestine, do you remember we're going to a place that is so dangerous now? I think the biggest part of you that you understand that this.
I didn't even see that they gave them the questions to ask. I would say that they probably received a list of topics that were green and topics that were not so green, right? Do not touch these topics. He won't talk about them. He'll end the interview.
Conversation has been happening.
It just depends on how much you're willing to bend the knee to have somebody on like that. I think when someone like that calls you, you have to say, well, listen, I'm going to ask hard-hitting questions. Or like a scenario that I've been in is like one of the people that I covered as a grifter, or at least a liar, like QAnon adjacent liar. I don't think I was really doing grifters that much at the time, and correcting their misinformation, wanted to have me on when we had a GoFundMe at one time. And I'm like, look, that's fine. If you want to have me on, I'll come on for an hour or whatever. We can talk. But you know that just because I have a GoFundMe going and that we're sharing the link during the show, that like I'm not going to go easy on you. I'm not going to stop covering you. I'm not going to stop calling out when you're fucking lying. I think you're lying to your audience. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. You have to lay some ground rules.
For 2 years.
Or piss in the wind and throw it all away and just let him come on and spread his propaganda.
I'm not absolving you from your trip. You guys are not little kids. You are fucking 30 years old, right? People in your age have families and they have a career, and you need to stop. I'm just saying this because you're my little brothers, but you're not little, right? You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like, we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, and that your reach and your platforms mean something and it affects people. And I think the biggest reason why people were so upset for you, not because you brought someone and you didn't contest him, that it is the talking point that he used is the same talking points that have been used for 2 years to kill thousands of people, right? So, I mean, and part of the reason why people were so angry is that, forget even if you don't know anything about the conflict, there was like a total lack of critical thinking. I mean, you guys asked him the one good question when you told him in October 7th, how could this be allowed to happen? Everybody knows that Mossad is like a crazy, intelligent thing that infiltrates people and put bombs in pages. How did you not see that coming? But also, a critical thinking is, how come an attack was allowed for 6 hours in the most heavily surveilled part in the world? You understand that this conversation has been happening.
He did a good job of calling them out, saying they've been just like, hey, we're just stupid guys who just talk about what you're 30 fucking years old. You're 30 something years old. Like you're not a 16-year-old kid who was starstruck. Like, you've had big guests, right? You've got a gigantic audience that you're responsible for, whether you're fucking old enough for it or not. Like, at some point, you got to claim responsibility. I think he did a good job calling them out. That was pretty good. I hadn't seen that one yet. And then here's a good story about Andrew Jackson. I think Shane Gillis is in this one.
Yes, Jackson was a crazy but shrewd.
He was a piece of shit. Andrew Jackson was a piece of shit. But listen to this. Have you ever heard the story of his inauguration?
The thing about Jackson was that his inaugural party in the White House.
Yeah, this is wild.
They
stormed the Capitol.
He invited everybody. That's exactly right. He invited everyone. He said anyone that wants can come. No invitation needed. It's the people's house, and the house was crammed with common people getting drunk, stealing shit,
destroyed,
and they wouldn't
place.
leave. And there's a honor code in the White House. You don't ask someone to leave. You don't ever throw anybody out. So they couldn't get them. Like days went by where people are shitting on the floor and raiding the fucking pantry and just fucking people and whatever.
What?
And so what they did was they got huge kegs of beer and they put them on the lawn. And they said, "Hey, come out. Let's drink under the stars. Let's have, And they invited them out for beer on the lawn, and they all came outside and they locked doors. That was how he was a people's president.
Yeah,
like
he was
there
the
was
first
some
populist
in his
first guy. Yeah,
first one to appeal to the common person. Yes, Jackson was a crazy.
Had to lock them outside. Had to fucking lock them outside. That's insane, dude. All right, guys. It's late here. I know I got started late, but I can't go too much longer. It's almost 2 a.m. here. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to support the show, do that at coldbeer.fund or buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Sorry for all the troubles. Hopefully Restream's done with whatever the fuck they're doing. And I am adjusting my schedule to come get here a little bit earlier. It probably won't be all at once. Tomorrow I'm going to try to be here earlier, but also just pretend like you think the show's going to be 11 and it's not going to happen tomorrow because we have a power outage starting at 11. If I can get here early and get on it, I will. And if I can't, I can't. But we'll see. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Support the show if you want to. I'd appreciate that. We'll see you about on the next one. Have a good night. Talk to you tomorrow. Maybe we'll play some video games one day. I've made it a lot further in the video game. I'm about to go to that wedding. So the whole premise of the thing was we needed to go to the wedding to tell the leader there that to deliver that letter that we lost, or at least, tell him that we were robbed and we're actually noblemen. I'm about to go to the wedding. I've got some other things I need to tie up first, but I've made it a little bit. That's not the end of the game or nothing, but that's like the end of the first little area. So that's what I'm working on now. If you want to see it, let me know and we'll try to bring some more of the gaming back. So have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. It's a pretty cool game. There's been a lot of twists and crazy stuff. Earlier today, I painted a cow. It's a pretty cool game. And I just discovered you can go actually heat metal in a charcoal forge, hammer it out, and blacksmith. The game's fucking awesome.
So yeah. So I lied.
Good night, guys.